One of the recent studies into the juvenile detention population demonstrates the high incidence of what are called adverse childhood events, or ACEs, in the juvenile detention population in Albuquerque. ACEs, for those of you who don't understand or haven't heard the term before, are instances of physical neglect, emotional abuse, addiction in the household. 76% of the females in juvenile detention right now in Albuquerque have suffered 5 or more ACEs. 5 or more. 86% of the young men in juvenile detention have suffered the same. And I am someone who's spent the better part of my professional life putting people in prison for a very long time. And you know what we never hear? We never hear a story when we're putting someone in prison where they have a pre-sentence report, which is a biography of their life. And it says, this young man grew up in a stable 2-parent household, and he went to a great school, and he had an after-school tutor and a mentor and an engaged parent, and he went to a great college, and then he came back from college, and he picked up a shotgun and he walked into the Circle K and he held it up. Never happens. The story is almost always the same. Oftentimes, it starts with my office. I take a sledgehammer to a family when I incarcerate their parent. And mom's trying to hold it together, or grandma's trying to hold it together, or an aunt is trying to do the best she can, working 1 or 2 jobs. There's no one there to help her pick up the pieces. There's no one there to help her step in and fill in the gaps. And first of all, he starts to struggle in school, and then he gets suspended, and then he gets expelled, and then he's in a gang, and then he picks up an addiction, and he starts to replace that family with a family on the street. And everything from that moment on is a race against time, because pretty soon he picks up a juvenile charge, and we put him in a juvenile facility. And when he comes out, we do almost nothing as a community to treat him, to help him, to show him hope, to give him a hand in a different path. And what do we expect to come from that? You see the results every single day when you pick up the paper. That young man goes back to the streets and the only family he knows, and he picks up a gun. And pretty soon, he has a felony charge and an addiction. And I send him to prison, and I surround him with violent people, and he's introduced to a social network that you don't ever want to see. And we give him a skill set that you don't ever want to know. And we have an untreated addiction, and we take him out of prison and we drop him back in your community. That's the reality that we're living in.